Hey guys, it's Thebattleproductions and welcome to a Nintendo news video of July 13th, 2015. Okay, so it's been a while since I've done a Nintendo news video. In fact, the last time I did it was Nintendo 2DS when that was announced, and that was a long time ago. But today was basically a shocker to the entire world, and the reason for that is Satoru Iwata has passed away from bile duct cancer on July 11th, 2015 at age 55. So yes, he was not that old and he ended up dying from cancer. So how does this affect the industry? Well, first, he changed gaming. You know, there used to be just a group of hardcore gamers and there were some casual gamers, but it seemed like there was one group at the time, and Iwata, he basically expanded the word gamer when he released the Nintendo DS and Wii. And not just casual gamers, it wasn't just casual gamers on those systems. I mean, there were hardcore gamers too. But what he did was he changed the word gamer into a wider definition, so it's anyone that plays video games. Can't be someone that's really skilled or someone that's really basic. It's everyone. And, that's one thing. Based on all of his success with the Nintendo Wii, yeah, he did really well on the Wii, the DS, and even on the 3DS, even though it's not as successful as the original DS, but yet again, it's still doing a great job. Now, with all three of these systems, in fact, there's one more, the Wii U, which is actually not doing too well right now, but there are reasons for that, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. But every single system that he has tried to design and release, they try to be innovative versus power. Okay, so that's one thing here. I know a lot of people don't like the innovation. They just want a powerful console. Yes, I sometimes feel that it needs to be the way because, first of all, the Wii U, if you take that for example, has, the first party, and that's it. Basically, there's really no third party games on there because its architecture in the Wii U is so different that people don't want to develop for it. And, it's just really hurting the sales because no one just wants the first party games. Actually, I'm not saying no one, but it's just, basically people just don't want just the first party games. But it doesn't matter. All three systems before that were innovative and successful. And yes, he and his developers were true gamers. And of course they are a part of the business. They want to make money, but they try to make the games as fun as possible, because they want to know that the gamers out there that play these games will enjoy them. They don't just, let's pull off a Battlefield 4, for example, where EA Games just completely released a broken game that did absolutely, people bought it and it just did not work at all. They never did that. They made sure every single game was good, like that, patched, and everything was good. And then after that, they made it very fun and try to add as much content as they can. Versus, a lot of other developers today that just do DLC constantly. Yes, they do some DLC, but they do DLC to add to the game, even though it's already at a point where you're not left sitting there oh, this is it. No, they just keep these games full instead of trying to get people to buy more things for their cheap game that these other developers are trying to do. So they want to go to the gamer perspective and be true gamers, and it's really, really a good thing. Well, another thing is with the Wii U, how it wasn't doing too well at the time. Now they broke even with the Wii U, so it's okay. But even when Nintendo was not doing well, Iwata cut his own salary in order to have his employees stay and create games. That's major. It doesn't mean it shows even more that he was a true gamer, because he wants to make sure that he has all of the people there that make games with. I guess it'd be with them, because I'm sure he did work on some parts of every single release that's been for the Nintendo console so far that was first party. So he was definitely there for his employees, which is major. So let's go back in history and we'll see where he got started. So he started at HAL Laboratory, which was basically, I believe it was like a second party to Nintendo, and for example, this company made Earthbound. So he was one of the people that made Earthbound, which personally I think is one of the best games that was retro. I mean, a lot of the old games were great, but this one really stood out for me. Earthbound, definitely a great game, and yeah, it was kind of cool. I bet it was cool for him when it got released to the Wii U for Virtual Console, because I'm sure it was huge for him. He's like, oh great, one of my classic games that I create or help create is now coming back, and it was even popular too. So I mean, even Mother 1 came out, and I'm sure he would have loved to see Mother 3 release on the Wii U as well. But of course, he's not around anymore for that to happen. So now we're going to talk about something that he was very connected with his fans compared to other companies. And the reason for my reason for that is because he hosted Nintendo Directs. Basically, it was probably every month. I mean, it wasn't, I'm not sure if it was exactly every month, but it was pretty much every month that they would release a video of him talking with developers, and they're just showing off these new games that are coming to the Wii U, the 3DS, the future consoles. And, you know, it's pretty cool. Not future consoles, he hasn't done that yet, but I know he will in the future. And, you know, he was in every single one until after May 2015, which was the Splatoon one. The mini direct, that was before E3, he wasn't in. And yeah, so if you want to go back and watch Iwata's last Nintendo Direct, you have to go back to May 2015 for the Splatoon E3. Not E3, Nintendo Direct. But yes, speaking of E3, how I just brought that up there, he did stop making appearances to stuff like that due to his health. In fact, I found a letter from way back in June 24th, 2014 that was for stockholders, and it was for some meeting, I guess the 74th annual meeting. And anyways, I'll probably provide a link down in the description, but basically this letter says at the beginning, I'm just going to read the first part. It says, "To our shareholders, thank you very much for your continued extraordinary support of us. I am Satoru Iwata, president of the company. Today there's one thing I'd like to share with you. Recently, as the result of one of my routine physical examinations, an issue was detected. Following a more detailed examination, a growth was found in my bile duct. In general, it is said that my bile duct growth can be difficult to treat, partly because of the difficulty of detecting it early. In my case, luckily, it was detected very early and I had no symptoms. I was counseled that removal at an early stage would be a desirable medical option. Therefore, I had surgery last week and I came through it well as predicted. And I have already resumed my business by email and by other means, but it is anticipated that a little more time is needed for me to return to my regular work schedule. As a result, I have no choice but to miss the company's very important activity, the annual general meeting of shareholders to be held this month. As a president of the company, I regret that I cannot attend this meeting. However, I understand that I have to prioritize my medical treatment to recover as soon as possible so that I will again be able to do my best to help the company grow. I hope you understand. Best regards, Satoru Iwata." So, he knew that he had this in 2014. But the thing is, they got it removed. So it's either the surgery didn't completely take out the tumor that was in his bile duct, or they just completely I don't know, maybe it just grew completely back. You know, that happens. And it's possible he didn't even know this came back, and when the symptoms came, you know, there's nothing he could do about it. And basically, he was just fighting it and hoping that he could survive, and turns out he couldn't do it. So, yeah, that's why he was gone this E3. And, you know, it's really unfortunate. That stuff happens, you know. That's life. He's in a better place. So now I've read that letter to the stockholders. Now, here's one more thing I want to bring up. So, the last thing he told his fans was, "Sorry for the disappointment at E3." Yeah, that's pretty sad. You know, a year later after he had his surgery, and then he probably didn't expect this. I mean, I don't know, he might have had symptoms at that point, but yeah, you know, he said sorry for the disappointment. You know, that's the last thing he said to us. It's not like saying something about enjoying this one game. No, this is what he said, because he saw that people were not happy with the E3, and they're sorry for the disappointment at E3. Jeez. I mean, it stinks. I wonder if he was on his deathbed thinking, you know, what, did I do something wrong and there's nothing I can do about it? You know, it's just something that came to mind, and it's really kind of sad. One thing I want to do right now is do some memorable quotes, which actually, this is from a CNN article. Yes, CNN. So it's going through the major news places too, because Iwata, he's changed the world basically. And, you know, these huge news places are talking about him. But yes, one of the articles was their 8 memorable quotes. I'm just going to read them off right now. So, the first one, above all, video games are meant to be one thing: fun. Fun for everyone. Yeah, very true. Next one, we are trying to capture the widest possible audience all around the world. Even a small amount of power can have an effect when concentrated on a certain area. I believe this quote was talking about the Nintendo Wii and not the 3DS, the DS. And another one which is pretty big: I've never once been embarrassed that children have supported Nintendo. I'm proud of it. That's because children judge products based on instinct, which is extremely true. I sincerely doubt employees who fear that maybe laid off will be able to develop software titles that can impress people around the world. Now, please understand. Yeah, I knew there was going to be a please understand. I'm not trying to say technology is unimportant, but if we're focusing on technology, we will not succeed. And this quote right here really is huge. On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I'm a game developer, but in my heart, I am a gamer. That's really what I said earlier, how he said he was a true gamer. You know, this is true. He definitely put that in with all of his games to make them the best games they can be. And there hasn't been a single game in probably the past, since he's been working there, that's first party that weren't fun. I mean, yeah, of course there were some reviews for some games like, hey, this is not that great, but he's made it some way that they are all fun. He has the highest standards for games, and people have higher standards too, and people are just used to how he created them. Of course, there were a couple games that were below some people's expectations, but they were still really good games. And now the last quote: only a handful of characters can last 1, 2, 3 decades. And I'm sure he was trying to talk about at that point that his set of characters can last forever. So, to close off this video, I'd like to say, play any of your favorite video games today to remember Iwata. He inspired so many game developers today that he shines through almost all of them, and that is true. Because, you know, there's a lot of people that are just tweeting on Twitter, they're like, hey, you know, it's very sad to see that Iwata has passed away. I was inspired by Iwata to make my own games, and rest in peace. A ton of developers, almost all the games, even if they weren't directly, you know, inspiring from Iwata, he's created some level of games where the other game developers had to surpass in order for it to be a great game. And, you know, yeah, play any of your favorite games. But in my opinion, I think you should play Nintendo games just because, you know, that is the company he did work at. But any video game whatsoever would be good to remember Iwata. So I think that'll be the end of this video. You know, this is kind of a sad news video, but, you know, I had to talk about it because I need to get that off my chest. And yeah, see you guys later.